Welcome to the Jay Kim Show, Hong Kong's first dedicated podcast on investing in Asia. Join us as we survey the land and discover the greatest companies and most profitable investment opportunities in Asia. If this is your first time listening, thank you for stopping by. This podcast is produced every week with the goal of providing actionable insights to you, the listener, with every single episode. And now, on to the show. Hey podcast listeners, just a quick reminder, my company Explorer Equity Group will be hosting the Hong Kong Regional Finals for the StartCon pitch for $1 million competition. StartCon is Australia's largest startup and growth event that is taking place at the end of November down in Sydney, and the winner of the grand prize will be awarded a $1 million term sheet from Right Click Capital. So if you're a startup founder, I strongly urge you to apply for a chance to pitch at the Hong Kong event on October 16th at the beautiful Campfire Collaborative Space in Tai Kwu. The winner of the Hong Kong pitch will receive free flights and accommodations and a chance to pitch on the main stage for the grand prize of $1 million at the end of November down in Sydney. We'll be working with Startup Grant on the event, and in addition to seeing the pitches, you'll also have access to investors and keynote speakers. Also, if you aren't a startup or an entrepreneur, but you're an investor or you're simply interested in the startup ecosystem here in Hong Kong, I also urge you to sign up for the event. For more information, head on over to www.startcon.com/pitch and click on the Hong Kong event page for more information. Okay, let's get on to the show. So I am sitting here with Patrick Ngan, who's the CEO and co-founder of QFPay International. And we're sitting here at the lovely American Club, which is one of the best views in Hong Kong. I'm slightly biased, but and I see Patrick here a lot because he's also a fellow member. And so this is kind of our hangout. But luckily, we've been able to steal one of these conference rooms for a short while. So we're going to have our chat here. Patrick, welcome to the show. For the audience listening in that haven't met you or heard about you, can you please give us just a little bit of a background introduction of yourself?
Thanks, Jay. It's been a while since we last caught up, but it's good to be here. So a bit of background myself. I guess I grew up in Hong Kong, and I left Hong Kong for England when I was very young. I did all my schooling over in the UK, and I came back to Hong Kong with my first job, actually at Lehman Brothers. Back then, there was a Lehman Brothers. How things have changed, huh? So I've been a banker, investment banker for 16 years or so, focusing on equity capital markets and on the capital market side. 16 years of banking. After that, I decided to join a corporate in China, chasing the China dream, just like a lot of people did. And I went and moved over to Nanjing and spent 2 years there. And after that, I joined QFPay. QFPay, is a mobile payment company from China. We focus on providing on the merchant side with our product and our system so that to enable all the mobile wallets that you've seen in the market, whether it's Alipay, WeChat Pay, or various other wallets from different countries. From China, we expanded into 12 countries right now. Our largest supporter is Sequoia Capital.
Mm-hmm.
And they have invested in Series A, Series B, and now we're focusing on doing our Series C fundraising right now.
Wow.
And yes, it's interesting that mobile payment is taking off. In China, it has taken off. But in all Southeast Asia, in rest of Asia, they are only just beginning rolling out mobile payment for the local people. And we're very privileged and honored to be in each of these countries and help out, rolling out the mobile payment for the local people.
So thanks for the intro, and we're gonna dive deep into QFPay because I'm excited to hear about the exciting things. And we're really sitting at a very exciting time in history right now with what's going on, both in digital. In the internet, digital, and with China. Like we're literally at the cusp of like all these bleeding edge technologies and economies coming together. Just quickly on your background, obviously you were a banker for many years, which is where we met. We were colleagues at one point. And at some point you decided to say to hell with banking. And as a former banker myself, I'm always interested to hear from that standpoint, what was sort of the catalyst that pushed you over? Because, when we were talking earlier, it's very difficult for someone, I'm somewhat sympathetic, not for necessarily the right reasons, but that people are stuck within the system of banking. And so for someone to actually come out and break out of that, and you eventually found yourself as an entrepreneur, what was the catalyst that pushed you there, and why did you decide to do it when you did?
A couple of faults. Put it this way. I guess number one, I've always set myself a goal, whether it's career, whether it's personal goals. For me, banking has taught me a lot. It gave me a lot of exposure I would never had. But I always had this dream of going into China and chasing that China dream of working in China. And after years of doing IPOs, doing fundraising, I guess, it get very repetitive in a sense. And so I had this opportunity and to join one of the conglomerates in China. And I just took that chance. And I always say one thing is, opportunity does not come every day. When it presents itself, you have to think quickly, think about calculating the risks that you're going to take very quickly, because this opportunity will go, in a matter of seconds if you don't grasp that chance. And I say, what have I got to lose? Let's go for it. And I did.
It sounds like, as investors, it's very similar to opportunities in the market, only this is like your life, so I feel like it's a slightly higher stakes, if you're investing and you do poorly, at most you'll lose a little bit of money, hopefully, if you're downside protected. But to make a quick life decision like that, it's pretty impressive. Kudos to you. I definitely wouldn't be able to do something like that. And not for nothing, just going into China, people have tried it since the beginning of time, basically 20 years back when I first heard about people moving over here. They've tried, and people, individuals, companies, multinationals have gone in and failed and turned around with their tail between their legs and come out. So for you to actually go and do it and tackle that challenge is impressive. So,
yeah, don't get me wrong. It was not all fun and games as people would expect. And I guess I take a step back is that I think there's a season for everything in life, and there's reason for it. And for me, yes, there was a dream of going into China. But I also think, like you said, right, as an investor or whether as a personal perspective, there has to be a calculated risk. You need to know what that is, and you got to think very quickly. And I took that risk. But more importantly, I went to China. I was after experience. And having 2 years of that experience, of chasing that experience, what one has to learn is that, if you're only after good experience, you will always fail, because chasing experience, it can be good, it can be bad. Having done it 2 years, my experience has been very volatile. But what I was glad that I did, I gained a lot of experience. Going inside a Chinese company, sitting among, with the top, the chairman, the top senior management of how they do deals, how they do things, are very different from what you see on the outside. Moving into a second tier city, I moved to Nanjing, is also another challenge. China is not what you think, the Beijing and Shanghai, that is simple and that easy. Going to a second tier city is another level. But all in all, the experience was very, very valuable. I would not trade that, even though most of the time it has been very tough moving myself into China, going to a different culture, different corporate environment. Gone were the days when you were in banking, everything done for you. Going into China, going to second tier city, going into a Chinese corporate is another ballgame. But I was glad that I did it. And I would say one thing is always go for the experience. Do not just go for it's good or bad, because it will always have, end up whether it's bad.
So speaking of difficult experiences and hardship, you're not inexperienced in this regard. And here's a little last tidbit of personal before we get into the actual company that you're building. But you're a marathon runner, and you're modest guys, but I had to bring it up because what you've accomplished is quite outstanding. And I believe you're one of under 100 people in the world to have done a marathon on every continent, each one of the 7 continents. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that and some of the challenges and extreme difficult experiences that you had there. But I'm sure that you are well worth it right now, right?
Yeah. Well, number one, I established one thing because people cannot see me. I'm probably the biggest marathon runner out there on the continent. I'm by no means one of those skinny guys, the fittest guys. Yes, I have ran a marathon in each of the 7 continents and also in North Pole, South Pole. There's a club called Grand Slam Marathon Club. I believe I was the 63rd person in the world who have done this. Second person from China, second person from Hong Kong who has achieved this Grand Slam Marathon Club. I think at the moment there's about 80-something people who have done this now. So I've ran 26 marathons, full distance. One thing I learned is make sure if you're going to start something, you finish it. I think running marathon is not so much about for my physical, health being, which is good. But I think I was just training my mind and just say, and it's really hard. Every single race, it's not like you run all these marathons, it's get easier. Every race is just as painful as last. Every time at 25 kilometers, 30 kilometers, you start swearing at yourself, you start screaming, why am I doing this? No more, Patrick. But every time you somehow, you finish, you're crossing that, finishing line, it feels really good. I think the most experienced part, the most interesting experience I had is actually in North Pole. We started off with minus 25 degrees, and when we finished, it's minus 41 degrees.
Wow.
When we ran North Pole, it was, as you know, the geographic north is 90 degrees, right? And we ran on 89 degrees. So we were on the most top northern part of the world. Glad to have been there. Running 42 degrees in, minus 41 has been quite extreme. And it's freezing cold. I'm not going to say. I'm going to, it's one thing people do ask what it feels like. Your body should never be exposed to minus 41 degrees out there unless you have those super big, snow jacket. But we cannot because we're running 42 kilometers. I think that was the toughest marathon I've ever ran on. I think it's the physical challenge of even on the ground, it was not even icy. It was very sluggish kind of snow, and it was very difficult. One thing I'm glad that I said it is that I finished, and I think one takeaway, and I think that kind of changed my life perspective, how I do things in life now, is that was the toughest thing I have ever done in my whole life. And when I crossed the finishing line carrying the Hong Kong flag, the China flag, in a way, I had that confidence that I'd never had before. And it said to me, Patrick, there's nothing in the world you cannot do. And every time when I go through a hardship, when I want to give up, I think of that moment when I cross that finishing line. I say, Patrick, you have conquered the most difficult thing in your life. Now finish it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's very inspiring. So thanks for sharing that. That's such a great story. I mean, I think that when you go through adversity and you make it through the other side, it only makes you stronger and a better person. And that's where greatness comes from, right? Is from going through the fire or in this case the ice for you.
Well, I had a 2nd-degree burn on my feet, right? All my toenails fell out and the second layer of skin. So I'm not going to go through this stuff with you guys, but it was a good feeling finishing it.
Yeah, we'll have to do another a follow-up podcast just strictly on your running career, racing career. So let's use that as a pivot point. Let's get into your company. You're building basically QFPay. So you mentioned briefly at the beginning what it is. Maybe why don't you give us a general overview of what the company is, and talk us through sort of how it started, where you guys are now.
Yeah.
And maybe even walk us through the user experience.
So there are 3 founders. I'm one of the 3. I have 2 other partners, Tim and Molly, who are based in China. I focus on everything outside of China, so all the international markets. As I mentioned from the start, from China, we expanded into 12 other countries right now, in Asia as well as Middle East. In a way, the international market is like a startup on its own. going through each country, knocking on the door, try to get connection, talking to the banks, talking to various other partners. It has been a painful process because, I mean, who's going to, listen to you at the beginning? But just like things in life, you just continue, just keep talking, and hopefully that they understand what mobile payment is and they see the future, how mobile payment will play out. What you've seen, over the last couple of years is WeChat Alipay. Everyone is talking about it because there are more Chinese people who go overseas.
Right.
And in China, these days, when you go to Beijing, Shanghai, any Guangzhou, all these other places, you actually don't need to carry cash anymore.
Right.
The whole ecosystem of mobile payment is so complete that you don't need to carry cash anymore. And because of mobile payment, there's only one drawback of mobile payment. All right, is when your phone runs out of battery, that's the only time when you cannot, make payment. Otherwise, even when you don't have an internet connection, you can still make payment, right? Whether you're taking a taxi, whether you're buying a cup of coffee or a bowl of noodles, you are just using QR code, mobile payment.
Or even a fruit vendor. I saw a fruit vendor in Shenzhen that had a...
Exactly.
It's incredible.
And because of that, for Alipay and WeChat Pay has created this, in a way, a trend, a payment trend. And from that point onward, everything exploded. Plus, equipped with, China, there are so many Chinese tourists out there. In fact, these days, Chinese tourists don't want to be called Chinese tourists. They want to be called traveler.
Right.
It's more sophisticated. Funny stat that I want to share with you. There's only 10% of the Chinese population has a Chinese passport that can go overseas.
Wow.
Right? Can you imagine? They're already spending 120 billion US dollars overseas last year, right?
Incredible.
Just by traveling abroad. So you can just imagine when they go travel, I guess for them, they will want to do something that they're familiar with back at home.
Sure.
Right? So WeChat Pay, Alipay becomes the norm of payment. When you go overseas, if the coffee shop in Singapore, if a restaurant in Malaysia, right, they want to attract more tourists. They just simply enable WeChat Pay or Alipay so that Chinese, when they go visit Singapore, they can make a payment. And that's how the whole trend started. But then that is representing just Chinese population because, for the last couple of years. But what we're seeing right now, every single country, because we are now in 12 countries, so we work with the largest bank, if not the second largest bank, right, in each country. Now we are rolling out the mobile payment system for the local people. So when I go to Thailand, we are working with the largest bank out there right now. When they roll out mobile payment, it's not for the Chinese tourists, even though there's a lot of them. But when they roll out for 70 million local Thai people. In Malaysia, we're working with the second largest bank, one of the largest bank out there too, right? We're rolling out for 30 million local Malaysian.
Wow.
Reason why I know, because they have now engaged QFPay to do this.
Right. Wow.
So if the banks are going to launch something of this scale, they probably have a blessing from the government.
Sure, of
Number
course.
one. Number two, internally, they probably have this assessment that mobile payment is here to stay. And now they have engaged QFPay because of our experience. We've been doing this for the last 6 years. So we will give them not just tried and tested products, ready to go product, but more importantly is our experience that comes with it. Right, we help them to set up the operation, help them with the settlement, going through the entire preparation to launch, and this is what we offer to our partners and every country we go into.
Okay, so just taking a quick step back, I want to just really clarify for the audience the exact sort of maybe we can do this by walking through the user experience. Like if I was someone that traveled to Thailand and I wanted to use QFPay for mobile payment, what has to happen? Do I have to download a wallet on my mobile phone, and then the vendor has to have a way to receive the payment? Can you walk us through the very simple level of how your business works?
Okay, so Jay, let's just say you decided to go to Thailand, right, Bangkok, right? So Jay, you will need to first download a mobile wallet, the consumer wallet, right? This can be WeChat Pay, Alipay. Okay.
Oh, it can be one of those. Yeah.
Of course, this is what you use. It's just like what you look at mobile payment is like a credit card.
Right.
You either use a
Visa,
MasterCard
or
MasterCard or Visa card, right? So you have obtained a mobile wallet. Right. Let's just say you use Alipay. All right, you tied up your details, your debit card or bank account with Alipay. So this is where, because every time when you go spending, money has to come out from your bank account. Right. Okay, so now that you have your Alipay wallet, so next week you're going to Bangkok. Right. So at the merchant side, let's say you're going to a restaurant, a Thai restaurant in Bangkok, and you want to make payment.
And it says Visa, MasterCard accepted here.
Exactly, right? Then it means there's no mobile payment.
Right.
But if you see a WeChat Pay, Alipay logo, that means Alipay is welcome. WeChat Pay users are welcome.
Right.
So in their shop, they will most likely have a system that provided by QFPay, right? That will enable them to accept the payment. And it's through an application. We call it the mobile application. It's an app, basically. You can download on iTunes at Google Play.
Right.
And at the merchant end, at the merchant end, when you make payment, Jay, so after finishing a meal, you go to the counter, right? And you make payment. Let's say this is like, 5,000 baht. So the merchant, the cashier behind the counter will pick up our merchant app, whether it's an iPhone or whether it's a Android phone, with our software, the app downloaded onto it, right? Then you just type in 5,000 baht. So it will turn out, they will scan. So you at your end, on the consumer end, right, your mobile wallet, you comes up with a QR code, and then the cashier will scan your QR code instantaneously, like less than a second, right? And then the payment will be made. Transaction will be done at both ends. The consumer end, you will see a notification say, 5,000 baht, whatever equivalent, has been deducted. And at the merchant end, and the cashier will also see 5,000 baht has been accepted.
And then QFPay then gets a percentage of transaction fee off of...
We charge the merchants like a merchant discount rate. We call it the standard called MDR, a percentage, just like credit card does as well.
Sure, right.
So every country, the MDR discount rate is different. Depends on the type of the merchants, right? It can ranges from 1% to 2% to 3%. Every country is different. Depends on how mature the market is.
So, but the initial question that pops to my mind, which I'm sure you get all the time on first blush, is what is stopping Alibaba and Tencent from going out and basically putting their stamp on all these places that you guys have gone already? You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. By all means, they all do that. Okay, but they're only offering Alipay. You won't see WeChat Pay because they're a fierce competitor, right? So they're not going to aggregate them together. So what we provide to the merchants is that our merchant app can aggregate WeChat Pay, Alipay, and other Asian wallets. And this is what we're focusing on right now, working with all the major wallets.
I got it. Okay.
So let's just say one day, right? Let's turn this around. Let's say, Jay, you own a coffee shop in Bangkok. Your pain point is the most basic thing, you want to take in payment from anybody who walks into your coffee shop,
right?
Whether you are Singaporean, Korean, Japanese, or Hong Kong, right? If you have my system and I partner with all the major wallets from each country, that means any Singaporean who walks into your shop will be able to make payment using QR code because I already partnered with them.
Right.
But whereas if it's just Alipay, they will give you that system that will only showing Alipay only. You see where I'm coming from now, right? So from the end of the day, if you are the coffee shop, would you like to have mine? Which I will also have Alipay as well. Right. But I also have 10 other wallets from each country. Right. Versus somebody who's just going to give you...
Or 10 different terminals that you have to set up in your shop.
Right. And this is what we do.
I see. Very clever. Okay, now I'm finally understanding the value proposition of QFPay. Not that I doubted it.
I mean, we work very closely. We work very closely with Alipay, WeChat Pay. I mean, that model is also, we partner with them and we provide our merchants with Alipay, WeChat Pay as well. But we go one step forward, right? We bring other local wallet, reputable one that represent the country, and we bring them together. For example, in Thailand, we work with Line Pay. We work with AirPay that are very large wallet in Thailand. So it means one day if the local Thai person using a Line Pay or AirPay wallet, when they come to Hong Kong, because I focus on all the merchant network, I enable them, local Thai person come to Hong Kong and start making payment. Thai person going to Japan, Tokyo can also do the same. Japanese people using, a partner wallet, they can come to Hong Kong, they can go to Dubai.
Right.
Have you heard of Burj Khalifa
Yes.
in Dubai? Yes. The most visited tourism place, right? So at Burj Khalifa, anyone who buy the ticket, right, at the counter, they're using my system as well.
Nice.
They're using QFPay system. So anyone who go in there, so long they're partner with us, right, you can just use that ticket system and buy a ticket, and you'll be using QFPay.
Very cool. So let's go down this rabbit hole a little bit further. Cryptocurrencies, obviously another question you probably get asked all the time. They're right now we're very early in this whole blockchain cryptocurrency thing, but some of the sort of projects are working on is developing, a payment solution where you can basically pay with cryptocurrency and have it quickly settled and this sort of thing. What do you guys have planned in the cryptocurrency realm? I mean, is that something you guys are considering?
Absolutely. At the end, it's about payment, right? Payment acceptance. We will be working with forming a strategic partnership with a crypto payment company. And together, we will start accepting the popular tokens, digital tokens, whether it's Bitcoin or Ether. So basically how it works is, using the same example, right, at your coffee shop in Bangkok, let's just say American don't have an Alipay account. They don't have the local wallets,
right,
but they have Bitcoin. If they want to buy a cup of coffee, let's say they walk up to you, Jay, would you take a Bitcoin for a cup of coffee? You say absolutely yes, because the QFPay system will allow them to accept crypto payment, right? And this is what we're going to be our next phase going into it. Of course, not every country is so crypto friendly right now, but we will be looking to launch in the fourth quarter in certain countries like Japan, Hong Kong, and Thailand at certain merchants first. And I guess from your perspective, as you a coffee shop owner, you don't want to take Bitcoin as a settlement, right? Currency. You want fiat currency, right? So we will also do the conversion from crypto digital token into fiat currency and settle with you in local currency.
Wow, that's fantastic. So speaking of which, what in addition to what you just mentioned, what are some of your other forward-looking plans for the rest of the year? Obviously, we're coming up to the tail end here, and then into 2019, what are some milestones? You obviously had a huge two rounds of huge venture financing from the top VCs, and I guess you're working on your Series C at some point. What other strategic milestones do you see in the near future?
Okay, just on the financing side, we are currently doing a Series C right now. Our existing shareholders are very supportive, and they are also coming into this round. The goal is to continue with the international expansion plan, as well as to support our China business. So that's on the financing part. On the strategic part, we're now launching to 12 countries, and I think as a startup, I think it's good for people to know if you want to grow the country, you have to have your own team, build your own team on the ground, hiring local people, and this is why we're raising this round right now. 12 countries, I need to build my own team. I have to get the local team and start serving our clients in each country. I think this is very important. And our goal at the moment, we're very proud of ourselves as the most experienced in Asia. And we are going to be the largest in Asia. Hopefully, when I come back again in 2019, we'll be proudly to tell you, 2019, we are the largest in Asia. And I think what we mentioned earlier is to grow every country, right? Whether it's domestic consumption we're focusing on, but we're doing overseas payment. But another part of it is also the crypto payment part as well. So it's going to be very exciting going forward, because now every country will be launching their own mobile payment, and we are at the beginning of it, and we are helping them to do it. So going forward, it's going to get busier and busier, and you're going to see a lot more offering going forward using mobile payment.
Right now, it sounds like most of your presence is within Asia, the region of Asia. Do you have plans to expand further to perhaps Europe or the US? And maybe capture some of those, that 90% of Chinese travelers that haven't come out yet, gotten their passports.
Yeah. There's a couple of things for myself. couple of principles I set myself is if I cannot commit my time to a country, I would not want to venture into it, because I think if you're going to go to a new country, you need to make sure you spend enough time there.
Sure.
Otherwise, you won't be seeing what's going on. You don't even know the insights. At this stage right now, we are all over Asia. We're going to go into Australia as our next country as well, right? We were the first to launch into Dubai in the Middle East, so we're very proud of this. So we want to be the largest in Asia until we become the largest. Then we're going to stay focused on it, and then we think about something else. Europe, US. The way I look at it is that Europe is not ready yet for QR code mobile payment. I think they're still focusing on the NFC, the contactless credit card, but it's all about chicken and egg situation. And if everybody in Asia is doing QR code mobile payment, I think Europe will wake up to it.
Right.
They will eventually, in 3 years' time, because there will be a lot of European will come to Singapore, to Hong Kong. Hey, would you still take credit card? Interesting, huh? So I think when 3 years' time, when they wake up to mobile payment, hey, I have the entire 12 countries now. You got to talk to QFPay, and I will enable you guys, to whatever wallet you come out. I have to enable you, then you can start making payment.
Yeah, I mean, the macro backdrop is correct, right? I mean, think about what China has achieved. It's basically leapfrogged the U.S. and the West, and gone straight from a country that was very closed off 15 years ago to now people don't even bother with desktop computers anymore. All they carry around is this mobile phone, right? So they've leapfrogged the US and far surpassed them in mobile payments. So I think your prediction is absolutely true. I mean, credit cards are going to be like a floppy disk soon. It's going to be like a relic, right? So
I mean, I share this. I share this experience every time before a presentation. I ask one thing: what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Right? You don't kiss your husband. You don't kiss your wife. Right? First thing you do, you look at your mobile phone. Yeah. Right? And I also share that I have this very smart client. I said, no, I kiss my wife every morning. I said, I don't believe you. And he showed me the picture. I have a screensaver of his wife on his phone. Because that's the first thing he do. He checks his phone. Right? Yeah. These days, you don't even, I personally cannot remember last time I picked up a newspaper, a hard copy, because everything I read all the news is on the app, CNN app, BBC app. Right. And that is going to be the penetration rate of smartphone going forward. As it increases, that is just going to give us that bullets for mobile payment, because everything you do will be from your mobile phone, whether it's payment, whether you're chatting to your friends, right? Whether you read up all the marketing, whether you read them news, everything will from your mobile phone. And I think this is where we are here going to stay here.
Absolutely. I mean, I've even gone on short business trips with just my phone, like not even a laptop, and gotten away with it. On the personal side, any marathons coming up that you are training for or have in your sights? Yeah.
Marathon, I kind of stopped after achieving this Grand Slam Marathon Club. So I kind of finding a new challenge in life. So there was Ironman.
Oh, okay. Since the marathon isn't hard enough, now you're going to level up.
Just to add more, it's a bit of swimming part and a bit of cycling part. It is very addictive. And it's very challenging. I can honestly say in 2-3 years ago, I could hardly swim. Right now, if you want to do something, you just get on with it. If you want to set yourself, you want to do Ironman, you better learn how to swim. And I think it's very rewarding. It's very challenging and it's very tough. But I really enjoy it. I think we are all addicted to pain at some point.
That's right.
But I still run marathons just to keep up with the training, just for training in between races. I have a number of marathons coming up. Interesting one in Sydney coming up. Okay. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Final two questions for you, Patrick, and thanks again for your time and sharing your story. It's always good to do these in person, because I rarely get to do them in person. Most of them are done on the internet, so it's a lot of fun. Second to last question, which I like to ask most of my guests, is a piece of advice, having come up through sort of your background, the banking system, done a couple of different higher level roles, and now being an entrepreneur, building a startup. if you had a piece of advice for someone that maybe a younger version of yourself coming through the system, that might help them sort of hack or shortcut their success, or actually just figuring out what they want to do, maybe, what kind of advice would you give?
Okay, I think there are two stages. If for those who really want to do a startup, make sure you find something that you enjoy. You need to have passion. If you're not passionate in what you do, especially going to a startup, it's not going to work. Okay, this is number one. Number two, for those who are in a startup right now, there's only one piece of advice that I would say. Just do not give up. My motto in life is that you start something, you either don't stand in front of a starting line. If you do, you make sure you finish it.
Right.
There's no halfway. Okay? You start something, you finish it. I don't care what it takes, whether it's 42 kilometers, right? Or whether it's minus 41 degrees. So, and I think to a lot of entrepreneurs, I mean, it's going to be so painful along the journey. And it's very easy to give up. Oh, it's very easy to give up. But you just got to say, you either do it or you don't. If you're going to do it, give it your best shot.
Right.
And just don't give up. It's too easy. But that's one of the reasons why we are doing all this, why we're in startup, isn't it?
That's right.
Starting something is easy, but seeing it to the end is going to be very rewarding. Yeah. I will say just don't give up and persevere and just get your heads down and just push through the pain barrier.
Awesome advice. Thanks for that. The last question is basically just where can people find you, follow you, maybe learn a little bit more about QFPay, or follow you personally, connect with you personally.
Yeah. Most likely you can see me on the Ironman races or
Nice.
the marathon races. So do say hi. I travel a lot because of 12 countries. So airport lounges, you may be able to find me.
Which I've run into you before.
Correct. I think I'm on what's the most social media these days? What do people use?
LinkedIn is the professional one. I don't know if you're on that.
Yeah, I do LinkedIn. I rarely get on it. The last time I saw it, first time I saw the J Kim show, it's actually on LinkedIn, and that's a very inspiring story that we shared before. But other than that, I think it'd be good to say hi to people
sure.
on the races. I think it's a good way to meeting people.
Awesome. We'll get all your bio and stuff linked up in the show notes. Thanks again, Patrick. It's such a pleasure to catch up with you, and we're looking forward to seeing QFPay grow and take over the world, man. I'm excited, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Jay.
All right, take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. All the show notes and links can be found over at jkimshow.com. Come back often and make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Don't forget to join us next week for another exciting episode of The J Kim Show. I'd love to hear your comments. You can find me on Twitter at jkimmer, JayKimmer. See you guys next week. This podcast is brought to you by Hack Your Fitness, the high achiever's guide to getting ripped in under 3 hours a week. If you're anything like me, you're probably working a full-time job or jobs and trying to find time to balance family life, social life, and last but not least, fitness. Look, I get it. I'm a full-time investor and entrepreneur myself, and father of two. So how am I able to stay fit year-round without spending hours and hours in the gym killing myself on the cardio machine? After struggling for the last 15 years trying every workout and diet under the sun, I finally designed a system that allows me to achieve and maintain single-digit body fat for life in under 3 hours a week. Cardio not required. Head on over to hackyour.fitness and download my free 13-page guide that teaches you the simple science behind efficient fitness and smart nutrition and gives you everything you need to know to finally take control of your life. That's hackyour.fitness.